This happened 2 years ago, but I still wake up some nights feeling like I'm drowning. I was a senior at Oregon State. Me and my buddy Ryan decided to take one last camping trip before graduation, somewhere isolated, somewhere we could just be kids, one more time before real life started. We picked Crater Lake. I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's one of those places that doesn't feel real. The water's too blue. The cliffs are too high. The whole thing feels wrong somehow, like you're standing at the edge of something you shouldn't be near. Locals have all these stories about the lake, native legends, mostly about a god that lives beneath the water, something ancient, something angry. We joked about it. Of course we thought we were invincible. The plan was simple. Hike part of the rim, trail set up camp for a couple of nights, then head back first. Day was amazing. Perfect weather. Hardly anyone else on the trail. We found this incredible spot overlooking the water and pitched our tent. As the sun went down, the lake turned this deep black color. It didn't reflect the sky. It just swallowed it. That night, we built a small fire, passed a bottle between us, talked about life, girls' plans for the future around midnight. We saw the lights. At first, I thought it was some kind of reflection, maybe headlights from a car way off in the distance, but there were no roads near that side of the lake, and the lights weren't white. They were this sickly green color, like old glow sticks. They floated just above the water, bobbing, almost like they were alive. Ryan wanted to check it out. I told him he was nuts. But after a few minutes of arguing, I caved. I mean, we were young. Invincible, right? We left the fire burning, grabbed our flashlights, and made our way down the rocky slope toward the shore. The lights disappeared when we got close. Just blinked out like they were never there. The shoreline was eerily quiet. No bugs, no wind, just the sound of our own footsteps crunching the gravel. I was about to suggest we head back when Ryan pointed something out. Footprints, bare footprints, leading from the water up onto the shore. They weren't ours. They were too small, too narrow, and they didn't make sense. There were no boats, no docks, nobody else around for miles. The weirdest part? The prints stopped a few feet from the water, like whoever made them just vanished. We stood there for a while, flashlights sweeping the rocks, calling out stupidly, "Hello? Anyone out there?" No answer. Eventually, we went back to camp, half laughing, half creeped out. Tried to forget about it, but I couldn't sleep the whole night. I kept hearing things, soft splashes, like something moving in the water, low, murmuring voices that disappeared when I sat up to listen. Sometime around 3 a.m., I realized Ryan wasn't in his sleeping bag. I sat up, called his name. No response. I figured maybe he'd gone to take a leak. Waited a few minutes, then grabbed my light and went looking. His flashlight was sitting on the ground outside the tent, still unpointed toward the trail leading down to the water. I followed it. The shoreline was empty. No sign of him. Just his boots, neatly placed side by side near the water's edge. Like he'd taken them off on purpose, and his backpack sitting half open next to them. I called his name until my throat was raw. Searched up and down the shore, even waded into the freezing water up to my knees. Nothing. I sprinted back to camp, grabbed my phone. No service. Of course I had to hike for almost 2 hours in the dark before I found a spot with a single bar, called 911 in a full-blown panic. The search teams came fast. Rangers, helicopters, dogs, the whole deal. They found nothing. No body, no clothes, no footprints leading away from the shore. It was like he had just stepped into the water and disappeared. No ripples, no splash, no signs of struggle, just gone. They interviewed me for hours. Even accused me at one point of foul play, but there was nothing to charge me with. Nothing. They could prove eventually they ruled it an accident. Said he must have fallen into the lake, even though Ryan was a strong swimmer, even though the shoreline where he disappeared was calm and shallow. I had to sit there and listen to them, explain away his disappearance like it was no big deal, like the lake just took him after everything was over. I did some digging, talked to some locals, park rangers who had worked there for years. One guy pulled me aside after a bar shift and said something I'll never forget. He said, "It happens more than you think. People vanish out there all the time. The lake doesn't give them back." He told me the Klamath tribe believed the lake was the site of a battle between gods, that something still lived down there, something that didn't like being disturbed. I don't know what I believe anymore. All I know is Ryan's gone, and sometimes when I close my eyes, I still see those sickly green lights bobbing just above the water waiting.